Hello, and welcome to this press conference at COP29. My name is Keith Wingard, and I'm the Strategic Partnerships Manager with Solar Cookers International. I'd like to start by thanking the UNFCCC for hosting these press conference opportunities for us to talk a little bit about our work. And I'd also like to thank the government of Azerbaijan and the people of Azerbaijan for welcoming us to their country for COP29. Today I'll be speaking a little bit about an activity that most of us do every day. However, this activity also has implications related to climate change, health, gender, and the environment. Today, we'll be talking a little bit about cooking. And specifically, we're very excited to be announcing a new collaboration between Solar Cookers International and the United Nations Climate Technology Center and Network, which will be focusing on access to clean cooking using solar cooking in two countries, Mali and the Central African Republic. Our speakers today, I'm proud to be, or happy to be joined by, on my right, Mr. Seydou Coulibaly, who is one of our implementing partners in Mali, and my colleague, Dr. Stéphane Villat, who will be helping with translation. And we're hoping to be joined by Mr. Fred Unduri, who's the CTCN chair of the advisory board. He's running a few minutes behind, but we look forward to welcoming him once he is able to arrive. As I mentioned, cooking is an urgent global problem. Estimates by the World Health Organization suggest that there are still approximately 2.1 billion people around the world who rely on polluting fuels and technologies to cook their meals. This typically means cooking over open fires using biomass like wood, charcoal, crop waste, animal waste, and kerosene and other polluting fuels. The climate implications of cooking with these types of fuels, equates to approximately 1 gigaton of carbon dioxide equivalent produced every year. This is roughly on par with the emissions from the aviation industry, or about 2% of global emissions worldwide. This problem, as you might imagine, is particularly severe in places around the world where there is an abundance of sunshine. Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and Southeast Asia are places where often greater than 50%, 70%, and sometimes even over 90% of the population still relies on polluting fuels and technologies to cook their meals. One of the countries where Solar Cookers International will be working in this coming year is the Central African Republic, or the CAR. The CAR is a country where 99% of its population relies on biomass for cooking. Here's a map behind me where you can see the baseline of the year 2000. The area in green is forested area within the borders of the Central African Republic. 20 years later, in 2020, you can see in the red where there has been forest loss. This isn't only due to cooking, but in a place where there's such a high demand on cooking, on the forests for cooking fuel, we can see that there's a clear connection. By numbers, this means that in 1990, the Central African Republic had approximately 37.2% of its land covered in forests. And by 2020, that number had dropped to 35.8% of its territory. This also leads to health implications. Respiratory issues, including chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, lung cancer, heart issues, including ischemic heart disease, and stroke, eye problems, and negative birth outcomes are all some of the health impacts associated with cooking over open fires. Meanwhile, as I mentioned earlier, there's an abundance of freely available sunlight in a place like Central African Republic. This is also true in Mali, a place that's graced with enormous amounts of direct sunlight most days of the year. That's where Solar Cookers International and the CTCN come in. The CTCN is part of the technology mechanism of the UNFCCC and responds to requests for technical assistance from countries around the world, in particular least developed countries. In the Central African Republic, the issue of deforestation was one that was a urgent national priority. The government of the Central African Republic requested technical assistance from the CTCN to help develop solar cooking capacity by doing a research program and working together to develop local manufacturing within the CAR's borders. Before I move on to a little bit more about the CTCN, I wanted to introduce solar cooking more generally. Solar cooking involves, in this case, solar thermal cooking involves redirecting sunlight using reflective material and using that light energy to transform into heat energy that can be used to cook your meals. On the screen behind me, there are 3 basic designs. There's a number of different models, but the principle is the same. You use this freely available solar energy to create that heat. On the most basic end, there's the reflective panel cookers. In this case, that's a cook-it model, basic cardboard substrate with reflective tinfoil covered on top, and a black pot in the center that absorbs the light and creates the heat for cooking. The center photo is a box oven. Box ovens are similar in that they're what we refer to as passive cooking technologies. You put your box oven out in the sun, point it towards the sun, and on a sunny day, you leave your food inside. The sunlight gets redirected inside of the box oven, and you can cook your meals without having to breathe in smoke from open cooking fires. Finally, on the far side, we have a parabolic reflector dish. Parabolic reflectors concentrate sunlight to the center point and can reach much higher temperatures. Sorry. Okay. The parabolic reflector dish is what we refer to as active cooking. In addition to the 3 models that I've just been talking about, there are other designs known as the Fresnel lens, the Fresnel mirror, and the evacuated tube solar cookers. These are all different types of models that use the same principle, that you can use freely available sunlight to cook your meals. I also want to introduce our organization, Solar Cookers International. Solar Cookers International is a nonprofit organization based in Sacramento, California. We have hundreds of collaborators in over 135 countries, and our mission is to improve human health, economic well-being, women's empowerment, and the environment by promoting climate-friendly solar cooking, in particular in vulnerable populations around the world. As I mentioned, we're excited today to be announcing a new program in collaboration with the United Nations Climate Technology Center and Network. This program will focus on pilot programs in 2 countries, Mali and the Central African Republic. I'd like to briefly introduce the CTCN. The CTCN, or Climate Technology Center and Network, facilitates the connection between countries and climate technology solutions, expediting development and technology transfers for low-carbon and climate-resilient initiatives at the demand of developing countries. Positioned uniquely within the global climate action landscape, the CTCN serves as a vital link between all stakeholders, catalyzing collaborative efforts. It identifies and delivers a diverse portfolio of technology solutions, alongside offering capacity building and tailored advisory services on policy, legal, and regulatory frameworks to meet the specific requirements of individual countries. So as I mentioned, in this case, we're excited to be working with government organizations, in the case of the Central African Republic with the University of Bangui, and in the case of Mali with the local manufacturer that we'll hear more about in a moment. This opportunity gives us the opportunity to directly address the unique cooking demands and situation within those countries, while also channeling expertise from Solar Cookers International that can help develop that local manufacturing capacity so that the cookers that are being produced are produced locally. Thank you, Mr. Unduri, for joining us. We're very excited to have you here today with us. I wanted to bring you into the conversation now, and I wanted to start by asking, from the perspective of the CTCN, why are community-led climate technologies vital for the countries that the CTCN supports?
First of all, thank you for that question, and I would like to say that community-led technologies are effective because they are locally driven and tailored to speak to the needs of the communities. And while they address local challenges, they can also lead to broader transformative impacts. It's important to connect these local solutions with the larger networks to maximize their impacts. And also, examples of these technologies include, for example, renewable energy like solar and wind. Then you look at drought-resistant crops and the early warning systems and mobile application that can help farmers plan based on weather patterns. Digital tools like satellite imagery also provide valuable insights for nature conservation and disaster planning. And these technologies help communities adapt to and reduce the effect of climate change, improving resilience against these impacts. Thank you.
Right, exactly. It's intended to help address the particular issues that community has. And in this case, like I mentioned earlier, clean cooking is a severe and ongoing issue in many of these communities. So much so, in fact, that the Central African Republic has made clean cooking a national priority. So much so that the Central African Republic has even included direct reference to solar cooking in their nationally determined contributions. These are the plans for countries to move forward and address climate change in their own particular context. The NDC of the Central African Republic states a target of 5% of households equipped with solar cookers by 2025. This was originally written in 2021, and 10% equipped by 2030. Although it seems the 2025 goal might be a little bit too ambitious, we're excited to be working together with the CTCN and the government representatives of the Central African Republic to chart a path forward where we can potentially meet that 2030 goal. In the Central African Republic, we'll be partnering with the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development. There'll be 4 pilot communities on the outskirts of Bangui, and we'll have a critical youth role in our program as well. Youth will be involved in data collection, training, and an awareness-raising campaign to help bring communities along to the understanding of how to use and get the most benefit from solar cooking technology. Just a couple months ago, in September 2024, Solar Cookers International worked together with our partners in the Central African Republic to organize an enumerator training event where 20 University of Bangui students were selected and trained. We will also be establishing a youth committee next month to help guide the impact and implementation of the program. And as I mentioned, these youth leaders will be intricately involved in training, awareness raising, and overall community engagement. I'd like to bring Fred back into the conversation now and talk a little bit about one particular focus area of the CTCN. Mr. Nduri, can you tell us about the CTCN's emphasis on the water, food, energy nexus? Why is this a CTCN priority?
Yeah, actually, water, energy, and food nexus is one of our key focus in activities that we plan to, which are included in our joint work program. And with a global population expected to reach 9 billion by 2050, it is essential to approach water, energy, and food as interconnected systems in our climate strategies. Climate change is already worsening water scarcity, food insecurity, and energy challenges, especially for vulnerable groups like women and children. The WEF Nexus approach helps us to understand how water, energy, and food are linked and how policies and technology can improve efficiency and outcomes. For example, we can support countries by using energy to increase crop yields, to improve water efficiency, and to expand food storage. We can also help small farmers access renewable energy for irrigation and develop better water management strategies to ensure food security. Promoting energy efficiency technologies reduces food systems vulnerability, and sustainable practices like conservation agriculture can protect soil and reduce deforestation. By addressing these issues together within the WEF Nexus, we can build more resilient and sustainable food systems for the future.
Great, thanks for sharing a little bit more about the CTCN's emphasis on this critical aspect of climate change.
Thank you.
I did mention that there are 2 countries that will be working in with this CTCN pilot program, the Central African Republic and in Mali. In Mali, there'll be a similar emphasis on solar cooking, and we'll be partnering with the National Meteorological Agency of Mali, or Mali Meteo. There'll be pilots in both a peri-urban and a rural community to, again, look at the specific needs of specific communities. There might be different food items or different cooking methods that might be used. So that'll be part of what we'll be looking at. And then we'll also be including a strong data collection component to really measure the impact that solar cooking can have. And finally, we'll be developing a roadmap for how to scale solar cooking. We're really excited to be working in Mali because, as opposed to the Central African Republic, where there isn't really a whole lot of solar cooking going on right now, in Mali, we're starting with a little bit of a head start. This pilot program will be working with a local manufacturer in Mali called Togo Tile. And I'm thrilled to be joined on stage here by the director of Togo Tile, Mr. Seydou Koulibaly. Seydou speaks French, so we have my colleague, Dr. Stéphane Vilat, here to help with the translation. But I'd like to bring in Seydou's input as well. So Seydou, can you please introduce yourself, introduce Togo Tile, and tell us why you believe solar cooking is an appropriate technology for communities in Mali?
Bonjour à tous les participants. Mon nom c'est Seydou Koulibaly. Je suis expert en cuisson solaire intégrée et je suis le directeur d'une entreprise dénommée Togo Tile au Mali.
Hello to everyone. Hello to everyone. This is Seydou Koulibaly. He's an expert in integrated solar cooking. He's from Mali, and he's also the director of a company called Togo Tile. And this company has been working in manufacturing solar cookers in Mali.
Okay. La cuisson solaire est un secteur qui mérite d'être développé au Mali.
So solar cooking is in fact an area that needs to be developed in Mali.
Comme nous le savons tous, en Afrique, plus précisément au Mali, les femmes souffrent à la recherche de solutions d'énergie pour la cuisson.
As we know it all, unfortunately in Africa, women are the most impacted by the situation.
Les enfants qui accompagnent leur maman sont souvent déscolarisés à cause de la recherche du bois.
And also the children who have to stay with their moms usually have to skip school because their mom has to go and collect wood in the forest.
Le déboisement est en train de frapper mon pays, et ce qui entraîne aussi une diminution de la récolte dans les villages.
Deforestation is of a high impact in my country, and unfortunately this is also impacting all the villages around.
La cuisson dans la cuisine, les fumées qui se dégagent sont en train de rendre les mamans et les enfants malades.
Just looking at the methods that is being used right now in those villages, they are using lots of charcoal and wood for fire, which is impacting the health of the mothers who have to be cooking every day in those kitchens.
Si nous résumons ces grandes lignes, nous allons dire tout simplement que l'énergie, la consommation du bois, du charbon est en train de causer la pauvreté aiguë au Mali.
If we have to summarize this issue, we will say that the use of charcoal and wood for fire is in fact creating that impoverishment in those communities.
Les maladies liées à la cuisson, à la fumée de la cuisine, est en train de jouer sur l'économie du pays.
And also we have to take into account the consideration of the health impact issues on those communities.
Au Mali, le soleil est là-bas. Et ce soleil est une opportunité.
In our country, the sun could be considered as a bank, and that should be an opportunity for everyone in Mali.
Des technologies sont disponibles pour transformer, concentrer ces rayons pour faire la cuisson à la place du bois et du charbon.
Today, this technology is available to enable us to use the sun instead of charcoal or wood for fire.
Ces technologies sont en train d'être développées par des entreprises et des organisations comme Solar Cooker International, d'où la relation entre Togo-Tilé et Solar Cooker International.
These technologies are being developed every day, by companies like Solar Cooker Internationals, who we are proud today to be a partner of.
Nous restons convaincus qu'à la suite du projet qui nous lie actuellement, que les femmes, les enfants seront protégés contre les maladies liées à la fumée.
We are convinced today that this project that we are leading in on communities will lead to the benefit of the women and the children of those communities.
La cuisson solaire va donner du temps aux enfants d'aller à l'école.
Solar cooking will give kids and children more time to go to school.
Et nos communautés attendent impatiemment l'élargissement de l'intervention des SCI sur les autres territoires du pays.
And our communities are waiting for those activities to be scaled up at a level that will benefit the most in this country.
Je reste convaincu qu'ensemble nous irons très loin et nous allons contribuer pour le développement du Mali, dont les femmes et les enfants souffrent aujourd'hui à cause de l'absence du bois et du charbon.
I am convinced that this collaboration will take us further in the future, and all of this to the benefit of women and children who are again suffering from the use of charcoal and wood for fire in this country.
Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Seydou, and thanks, Stefan, as well for your help with the translations and helping us all get a better sense of the cooking situation in Mali. And that's really what we're trying to understand and then address, right? We hear a lot at COP29, previous COPs as well, we hear a lot about the energy transition and even the just energy transition. At Solar Cookers International, we believe that doesn't just mean identifying ways to generate enough electricity for countries on a wide macro scale. That also means developing capacity for households to have the energy they need to do their daily tasks. So this is not from Mali or Central African Republic. This is from another program in Kenya that we've been working on. But this is part of what that could look like, right? We're moving away from reliance on traditional biomass cooking methods and towards a renewable energy future where solar cooking, solar energy, can help address the demand for clean cooking in places like Kenya, Central African Republic, and Mali. So I just want to finish by saying there are ways that you can engage with SCI. You can access SCI's resources online. SCI has the world's largest database of solar cooking information, which we refer to as the Solar Cooking Wiki. You can also connect with our collaborators. We have on our Solar Cooking Wiki, we list projects that are ongoing around the world that have some sort of solar cooking component. Feel free to also look into joining the SCI Association and sign up for more information, where we send out emails about solar cooking opportunities around the world. And for those policymakers that are here at COP29, we encourage you to include solar cooking in your work and/or your country's nationally determined contributions as well. And finally, we encourage SCI performance evaluation testing of solar cookers as well, to ensure that the research allows us to have a robust understanding of the capacity of these cooking technologies. And finally, I just want to say thank you to everyone here today for listening, for your attention. And if there's any questions or anything else that anybody wants to talk about, we're happy to meet outside the press conference room. Thank you.